Well, shit, I guess, this was pretty well timed.
Our story takes place a few months after the events of Batman v Superman, with the world still rocked by the death of the Man of Steel, and forces within the governments of the world looking to fill the gap he left behind. One such force is a woman named Amanda Waller, a highly ranked official within a US Black Ops group called Argus. Waller has a simple plan: find the most highly trained assassins, deadliest criminals, and most powerful metahumans, put them on a team, and make them work for the United States under the supervision of her finest men. Whether the her in question is America or Waller is up to you. And so we're introduced to the members of Task Force X, a criminal psychiatrist turned mafia queen named Harley Quinn, a hitman named Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot, a pyrokinetic gangster turned pacifist named Cheeto Santana, aka El Diablo, an Australian thief named Digger Harkness, aka Captain Boomerang, another gangster with reptilian features named Waylon Jones, aka Killer Croc, an archaeologist named Ju Moon, who is possessed by the spirit of an ancient witch known only as the Enchantress, all under the supervision of Rick Flag, a colonel in the U.S. Army Special Forces, and his associate Tatsu Yamashiro, aka Katana, an expert swordswoman and martial artist. While the former five are all under lock and key, Waller has a unique way to control the Enchantress, an artifact that contains the witch's heart. Anything you do to it will cause the witch immense pain, and if destroyed, will kill her. Waller uses the Enchantress to demonstrate to officials at the Pentagon what her people can do, like, say, deliver classified intel from the Iranian military. The task force is then sanctioned, but things go sideways very quickly when the Enchantress retakes control of her host and her heart and starts causing havoc in a metropolitan area, forcing Waller to deploy the squad under the assurance that she will reduce their prison time by 10 years each if they succeed, and kill them with a bomb in their heads if they don't. Team complies, and the mission succeeds, with Cheeto being killed in action, the Enchantress being destroyed, and the rest of the criminal associates being sent back to prison with some perks added to their cells as an additional reward and incentive for cooperating with future missions. Pros: the one and only Will Smith as Deadshot. I love this dude so much. Men in Black is one of my all-time favorite science fiction movies. The Pursuit of Happiness is one of my favorite movies in general. Independence Day is one of the most overrated movies of all time, but Will still managed to walk out of it with some dignity. I, Robot is really underrated. It's nothing like the Isaac Asimov books, but it's still a really good movie. Hitch is a really fun romantic comedy. I Am Legend and Hancock deserve more love. They're not perfect by any stretch, but Will is so good in them. Bright didn't deserve anywhere near the hate that it got, and Focus is another pretty underrated gem that he and Margot Robbie have great chemistry in. And he's really great here as Floyd. Deadshot is unapologetic about his line of work. He is a service provider, and the service he provides is murder. He doesn't care too much about the job or the target. He just cares about his payday. But at the same time, he won't stand for someone who condescends to him about his job, especially when that someone is a man like Rick Flag, who does the exact same thing that he does, just for the US government as opposed to some mobster. And beneath all of that, there is one thing he genuinely cares about: his little girl. She means the absolute world to him, and he tries like hell to shield her from his world, because even if he's okay with what he does, that doesn't mean he wants her to be okay with it too. And even when his daughter is accepting of his profession, he still feels really uncomfortable discussing it. And like with Focus, he has really great chemistry with Margot Robbie as Harley. I mean, the two of them have a really fun big brother, little sister dynamic that's just really fun to watch. Speaking of Margot's Harley, she was such a great pick for this character. And what I really like about her, especially compared to more recent versions of the character in the animated films, she is written to be and plays the role as an adult, not a 12-year-old with a sugar rush in the body of a 25-year-old. When you watch Harley in Batman the Animated Series, you saw that she was an adult who enjoyed adult things and thought like an adult thinks. She just happened to have a bubbly personality even as a bad guy. But in more recent movies, the character comes off as more childlike. You watch her in Assault on Arkham or Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, which are both things that I like. She comes off more like a hyper little girl who wished to be an adult, then wound up becoming a supervillain, then really an adult. But that aside, what I really like about her in general is the fact that she's so gleeful about being a villain. And there's an especially great scene in the extended cut where you see her show off just what a sadist she is. As she goes over to Killer Croc and Katana and just prods them about basically why they probably think they're worthless, and why in turn everyone else should think they're worthless. And she just likes to torture people, not in a physical way like a Ramsay Bolton, but in an emotional and psychological way like a Hannibal Lecter, minus the cannibalism. The one and only Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. Like a lot of folks, I first saw Miss Davis in The Help, which she was so great in. I also saw her late last year in Steve McQueen's Widows, which I didn't really like as much as other folks did, but it's hard to deny that she was really terrific in it. What I really love about Viola as Waller is how she personifies Waller's total commitment to morally scrupulous actions for the sake of her country. If Dick Cheney was a black woman, he'd be Amanda Waller. If you've seen Vice, just imagine the speech Christian Bale gives to the audience at the end of the film, and then imagine Viola Davis giving a similar speech to Rick Flag and the rest of the task force. She doesn't give even one half of a damn about what you think about her. She's there to make America safer. She doesn't necessarily succeed, but that is her ultimate goal. Also, on a side note, while I was writing this, I floated the Cheney-Waller comparison to a buddy of mine, and he messaged me this, and I just had to show it off here. I just had to. Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. You know, I gotta say, Kinnaman is a really underrated actor in my opinion. He was really good in the RoboCop remake, and in that Liam Neeson movie, Run All Night. He was great as Governor Will Conway in seasons 4 and 5 of House of Cards, and he's pretty darn good here. What I like about Flag is how outraged he is that Waller wants to have criminals run her operations rather than real soldiers. That she'd rather use someone who kills innocent people rather than someone who's only ever had to put down enemy soldiers and terrorists. But for all his bluster about how men like Deadshot are the scum of the earth, he barely blinks an eye when Waller guns down her own support staff when the task force has to pick her up.
What? They weren't cleared for any of this, anything.
I'm not judging. I buried a lot of mistakes too.
Flag thinks he's Captain America, but really, he is just as morally bankrupt as Waller. And moreover, Deadshot actually argues the two of them are worse than him and his.
Hey man, I know you can't hear me because you're trapped in your temple of soldierly self-righteousness, but a two-faced dude like you wouldn't survive a second on the street.
Oh, says the guy who shoots people for money.
My cards is on the table, man.
It got done, didn't it?
But Waller and Flag, they gun people down who get in their way, and they get away with it. But ultimately, he does show that he has a heart beneath it all. He cares deeply about June and would do anything to save her. And he does seem to come to care for the convicts and even develop a genuine respect for Floyd, as shown by the fact that he supervises his visits with his daughter. Jai Courtney is an actor who's been in a lot of movies that didn't get a lot of love. Some I think deserved as much as they got, some I think it deserved a lot more, but he is hysterical here as Captain Boomerang. I love that his whole character is just a send-up of Australian stereotypes, but at the same time, I like the fact that he isn't just a clown. He has moments where he actually shows off some depth, like when he tricks another convict called Slipknot into testing to see if the bombs are real. They are. Or when he yells at Harley over how she's always harassing the other convicts on the team, or when Diablo gives his monologue about how he killed his wife because he lost his temper and couldn't control his fire powers. And Boomerang asks if his kids were okay at least. They weren't. Straight to Jai, I really hope he shows up in Goldstein and Daly's Flash movie. Speaking of El Diablo, oh my god, do I love Jay Hernandez as this character. El Diablo started before the movie as your standard LA tough guy, gangster type, when one night his wife finds out about how he's been making money. He's been using his fire powers to extort people, and she yells at him about it, saying that she doesn't want that crap in her home, and that she's taking their kids. They argue about it, and Diablo ends up killing her and their kids when he loses control of his fire powers. Overwhelmed with guilt and grief, he surrenders to the police without a fight or protest, and solemnly vows to never again use his powers for violence. But through the course of the movie, he comes to view the squad as his new family and begins to use his powers to protect them during the trek through the city to the Enchantress's location. Plus, he turns into a giant flaming Aztec skeleton who yells, "It's on now, bitch," in Spanish. How can you not love that? How can you not love that? Cara Delevingne as the Enchantress. Before I rewatched this movie, I was pretty content to say the Enchantress was probably the worst DCEU villain. But I'm actually going to eat my words here. She's still not ranked that high for me, especially not after Aquaman. But I'm actually going to put her above Steppenwolf. Why? One word. Cunning. Whenever an opportunity is open to her, she takes it right away. The minute June murmurs her name in her sleep, she shows Rick a vision of June dying so that he won't sick Waller on her, then heads over to Waller's to get her heart back. And when that doesn't work, she brings back her brother Incubus and borrows some of his power until she can get her heart back. I also like how when the task force arrives at the subway tunnel where she and Incubus are stationed at, instead of immediately forcing an unnecessary fight, she tries to convince the task force to just kill Rick and join her. And when that doesn't work, she sends each member a vision to demoralize them. A happy little fantasy about what they most want in the world, which would have worked were it not for Diablo's resistance to magic. Then, when she basically disarms them, she asks them again to just give up and appeals to their animosity towards the world. Why fight for people who hate you and would treat you like dirt if they met you? And kudos to Cara themselves for managing to create a clear distinction between June and the Enchantress. June is a sweet, meekish, shy girl, and the Enchantress is an eldritch abomination. So, credit to her. Jared Leto as the Joker. Over the last 2.5 years, I've heard Jared get so much shit for this role, and I really don't know why. I mean, sure, the tattoos are a little tacky in my opinion, but that doesn't mean Leto did a bad job. While Heath Ledger's Joker was a terrorist who fought in the name of anarchy and chaos, Jack Nicholson's Joker was Al Capone and clown makeup. But Jared Leto's Joker is equal parts cult leader and gangster. You're simultaneously drawn in and repulsed by his bizarre behavior and appearance. He's a strange, twisted man, but he's also oddly charismatic for some reason. He's less Jeffrey Dahmer or Osama bin Laden, and more Charles Manson, especially with the way he indoctrinates Harley.
Question. Would you die for me?
Yes.
That's too easy. Would you live for me?
Yes.
Careful. Do not say this oath thoughtlessly. Desire becomes surrender, surrender becomes power. You want this?
I do.
It makes no goddamn sense. But if you're someone who is vulnerable and looking for a purpose in life, you could easily buy it hook, line, and sinker. I don't think Jared is the best Joker ever, but he is far from the worst. Especially when you have, like, the version from Young Justice or the ones from the 60s and 70s. When those things exist, this is far from the worst Joker ever. Karen Fukuhara gives her role as Katana all she has, but unfortunately, the role hasn't a lot to give her, and that's a damn shame. When Tatsu cries to her husband's soul inside her sword, she promises that if she dies, she will meet him again. You really feel her complete anguish. When she shouts at the Yakuza members that criminals deserve no mercy, you really feel that righteous anger. And while it may only be one line, I really love the scene where Harley is trying to psychoanalyze and insult her.
Japanese, female, mid-20s, 5'5", good health, athletic, and an only child with deep-seated father issues. Daddy wanted a son, so she has to hide behind a mask.
I am not hiding.
I really wish Karen had more to do with this role. She seems like she has a lot of talent, and she just seems like a really charming girl in general. Adewale Akinoye Agbaji plays Killer Croc. I really debated about including him in the review at all, because the man has almost nothing to do. But honestly, Mr. Agbaji did not sit in a makeup chair for hours on end and put so much time into learning a southern accent for me to just ignore him. He doesn't deserve to be forgotten. So, what I really like about his character is how he basically resigned himself to just living like an animal. But upon interacting with the rest of the squad, he really does rediscover his humanity. At the start of the movie, the guards send him a skinned goat as food. And at the end of the movie, we see him kicking back with a cheeseburger while watching some BET. He's remembered that just because he looks like an animal doesn't mean he really is one. He's a person. And even if no one else will recognize that, he should. Basically what I'm saying is, Killer Croc should inspire you to love yourself more. Ben Affleck gets a couple quick appearances here as Batman. And god damn it, does this make me miss him even more than I already do. What I like about him here is that this is actually what I think Bruce was probably like before Superman arrived, before he really went off the deep end. If this was the Batman from Batman v Superman, he wouldn't have cared in the slightest about Deadshot's daughter, and he would have let Harley drown for sure. Not so here. This is a Batman who still cares about people, even if they're horrible. All life is precious, even if it belongs to someone who misuses it. The score by Stephen Price is underused in the film and underrated by fans, but when it hits in such a fantastic way. Special kudos in particular goes to the triumphant hero score that plays when Deadshot starts gunning down Enchantress's putties. But also, the scene where Dr. Harleen first truly becomes Harley Quinn. The way it mixes with Gangsta by Kehlani, it just creates such a magnificent atmosphere. It's equal parts ominous and romantic, which kind of sums up Harley and the Joker at this stage in their relationship. Less so later on, but that's another movie. Speaking of music, I have a love-hate relationship with this movie's use of popular music. But on the love side of things, when it's used correctly, it's used brilliantly. Special kudos for using The House of the Rising Sun at the start of the movie, AC/DC's TNT during Captain Boomerang's introduction, the Rolling Stones' Sympathy for the Devil during Waller's introduction, and Black Skinhead by Kanye West while Deadshot is on a firing range. These are all excellent ways of introducing the aforementioned scenes and characters. The House of the Rising Sun is a song about the protagonist's own poor decisions and how they have left him in ruin, with nothing left but to warn the listener to not repeat their mistakes. And it plays as we're specifically introduced to Deadshot, who's been separated from his beloved child because of the fact that he chose to become an assassin. TNT is just a kick-ass rock tune from a very famously Australian rock band that plays during the introduction for the very obviously Australian Captain Boomerang. Sympathy for the Devil is a song about the actual devil, where the great deceiver talks all about how he has been there from the dawn of mankind, has been working very, very hard to make sure that they screw themselves over. In essence, it portrays the devil as a schemer and manipulator, not unlike Amanda Waller. And Black Skinhead, there's no lyrical reason for playing it or thematic reason. It's just a cool song with an energetic and exciting beat that sounds dangerous, which fits with a scene of giving a deadly assassin access to powerful firearms. Cons. Without Me by Eminem, Paranoid by Black Sabbath, Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. These are all fantastic songs I love, and yet I can't really say that they really added to the movie. I was entertained by them for sure, but I can't help but thinking these scenes would have struck a better mood with a piece from Stephen Price. He has a really good score. I don't understand why they're leaving it in reserve. There's a scene right after the task force picks up Waller. The Joker arrives to pick up Harley, who promptly runs off with her lover. Waller instantly turns to Deadshot and demands that he shoot Harley since her bomb has been disabled. Deadshot refuses at first, then Waller offers to completely erase the man's prison sentence if he guns down Harley. Deadshot acts then as if he's gonna comply and then deliberately misses Harley. I don't buy it. I do not buy for 1 second that Floyd's relationship with Harley Quinn is anywhere near important enough that he'd choose letting her live or being able to see his daughter again. And I also don't buy it as him just spiting Waller. He doesn't know this woman. He may not like her or respect her very much, but she's nowhere near important enough that he would do anything to try and spite her. Not because he likes her, but because he doesn't hate her enough. She's just a government worker with a high opinion of themselves. It's pretty clear to me that what matters most to Floyd is his daughter and being there for her. As much as he likes Harley, I do not believe that she is anywhere near important enough to him that he would choose her over his little girl. The ending is just too happy to me. Deadshot gets supervised visits with his daughter, and Harley gets an espresso machine before being broken out by the Joker. No. That doesn't fit for a movie about convicted killers who are coerced into running black ops missions for the government. But moreover, I don't believe Waller would actually let these things go through. Like Chato says earlier in the movie,
Flag had you chasing a carrot on a stick, homie. You don't know that?
To quote President Snow from the Hunger Games,
Hope. It is the only thing stronger than fear. A little hope is effective. A lot of hope is dangerous.
if you let these people think that you'll give them whatever they want, they'll walk all over you. Killer Croc asking for a TV in his cell and to be given cheeseburgers to eat is actually something I can see Waller allowing. It's easy and it's small, but Deadshot being allowed outside of his prison where he could easily escape even with Flag as his overseer? No way. And you know damn well that after the Joker managed to catch up to Harley the first time, she's moving that crazy bitch to a new prison in a new state. Hell, well, she's probably going to set her up with some Joe Arpaio kind of motherfucker as her new guard. It was going to make her miss Ike Barinholtz real bad, real fast. Maybe she'd set her up in a comparatively nicer prison for returning to the mission after abandoning it, but she's still not leaving her somewhere where Mr. J can find her. Overall, while I really like Suicide Squad, I won't deny that it's flawed. It has clunky dialogue, the characters aren't all as fleshed out as they really need to be, the villain is definitely on the weaker side, in addition to the story issues I've already mentioned, but you know what? If I'm pressed to, I'll defend this movie. It's not a hill I'm prepared to die on, but I still think it's a good movie. But to be fair, even David Ayer, the director of this film, admits it's not exactly the best movie ever. But you know what? Shit up, Mr. Ayer. This isn't a great movie, but I'd still say it's pretty decent. It's, as much as I hate to use this word, fun. You put the movie on, and you have fun watching it. What's the harm in that? I'm going to give Suicide Squad a 3.5 out of 5. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. And if you did, like this video, subscribe to my channel, share this video with your friends, and comment below with your own feedback. If you're interested in some thoughts of mine about other comic book films, check out my playlist below for more. So far, I've discussed Zack Snyder's Watchmen, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League, as well as Black Panther, Blade, Venom, Deadpool 2, and Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man, plus reviews for the first trailers for Aquaman and Shazam, as well as reviews for Alan Moore's Watchmen, and the video game Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I also just did reviews for the Zack Snyder produced follow-up to 300 Rise of an Empire, and the new release Alita Battle Angel. Links to the playlist and those other videos will be in the description. Please feel free to watch them, and then come back later for my reviews of Wonder Woman and the actual Aquaman movie. Have a great day, everyone. Woodstock, out.